is it true that he asked you, not only you, but all the cast, not to blink? Is that a thing?
Yeah, Edgar's very precise about the image, and the whole story was shortlisted and sketched out very, very detailed.
Mr. Pilgrim! It is I, Matthew Patel. Consider our fight begun.
And yes, it's a comic book, right? You don't see people blinking in a comic book. You only see the whites of the eyes. And so, and I get it. You only have a very precious amount of time with your audience looking at the screen. Don't waste the moment. Keep the eyes open. Anytime you blink, you lose them.
Step up your game, Scott.
Combo.
Break out the L word.
Lesbian?
The other L word.
Lesbians?
It's a weird movie. It's weird. It's odd and strange and feels nerdy and feels geeky and it feels adolescent and awkward and sensitive. And it's rare to find a film that both has that humility but also that confidence in its own aesthetic sense of self. You see a lot of very highly stylized action-y movies, but they don't frequently engage with questions with so much ambiguity that Scott Pilgrim does. These feelings of being lost and confused and I don't know, like really we sit in those moments of like young love in such a nice way. And Edgar did such a brilliant job, and Brian, who wrote this comic book also, of making those ambiguous feelings visual. Not only an emotional storyline, but an aesthetic one, and they did that so well. And I think that the film, yes, as you say, it is got this 10 years down the line, and it's really got this cult following. And I think that, that has to do with a few things. I think, firstly, it's just a great movie. It's funny, it's visually striking, the music is great, the shots and camera work are brilliant. I mean, everybody working on that film, the level of craftsmanship from the camera team to the costumes to the performances to the music. I mean, we had an incredible array, as I'm sure you know, of musicians contributing. Everybody from Beck to Dan the Automator, and the cinematographer Bill Pope is a legendary cinematographer who's shot a bunch of phenomenal things. And of course, Edgar, who is so detail-focused and precise. A huge level of my work into this character was basically physical. I approached it very physically. I approached the fighting, as a huge part of it. I mean, we did a lot of our own stunts, and that was not something I had ever done before. I don't even know if I had really ever had a gym membership. I had never really thought about exercise, really, and suddenly I had to be in really, really good shape, and I worked with a trainer who was a kickboxer, like a Thai boxer. And so I kind of first met the character physically, figuring out, well, what is this fighting style? Because I was working on that so many months before we were shooting. And there's a British boxer called Prince Ali. It was this very cocky, lightweight boxer. And he has this incredible footwork, and he's always kind of making fun of his opponents. Instead of boxing with his hands up, he would leave them down and kind of goad his opponents into hitting him. And so I kind of used him as a real physical reference and looked at a lot of his footwork and a lot of his flourishes and mannerisms. And then, I looked at the story, and certainly understood, comedic as it was, that this guy was the only non-white kid in his school growing up and what that might have felt like and sort of the anger and rage that had built there. And then developed with the choreographer, this wonderful lady called Lisa Blitzer, the dance moves, and that was a huge part of the character as well. I think we looked at a lot of Bollywood. We looked at some Michael Jackson moves, figuring out his flair and how he shows off. And So once all of those things came together, you know, and they were all three quite separate. You'd work on the dancing, then separately you'd work on the stunts, and then separately we'd look at the scenes and the lines. But it really presented kind of a cohesive character.
All right.
Watch out! It's that one guy.
You kind of set the tone of the movie, because until that happens, it's like you have a few like nods to the comic with maybe, but not that it
really go crazy until that. We didn't talk explicitly about tone. I just went for it, and you know, I have a theater and a physical performance background, and so I'm very comfortable in different styles of performance, you know, and this was very obviously a heightened kind of crazy, strong, big, over-the-top, campy character, and I felt very confident in what I was doing. It's really exciting in that moment where Matthew Patel sort of busts through the ceiling is a real, like, what the fuck moment in the movie in a really fun way. We were all very much outside of our comfort zone. We had never done anything like that, any of us.
Scott Pilgrim versus the world.